Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. Awesome to have your company. Social media has changed the landscape of our attention span. I read a book very early on that I need to capture your attention in 3 seconds. Otherwise, whoop, you have moved on. But it wasn't always this way. I had an opportunity to travel to Japan, my wife and I. We enjoyed a tea ceremony in Kyoto. As soon as we arrived, the hostess told us to calm down, to appreciate what was around us. It took me a little while, but when I did begin to observe the tatami mat that I was on, the motion of how she prepared this matcha tea. It was a joyous experience. It allowed me to slow down, to be in the moment and appreciate the beauty that was actually around me. There's another beautiful Japanese tradition called a haiku. It's a 3-line poem which follows a certain sort of rhythm. 5, 7, 5 are the syllables in that poem. A lot of people dismiss it as just, easy to write and somewhat shallow, but it's about slowing down and observing and paying attention to the greater detail that is in there. I came across this beautiful brand here called Fleur d'Aiku. We were in Paris. I have a tour company. We were taking people through France and showing them different boutiques. On my downtime, I went to the Fleur d'Aiku boutique. We don't have it here in Australia. The moment I walked in, it reminded me a lot of Japan, the aesthetics of the actual boutique. Even the counter reminded me of a sushi counter with all the fragrances lined up. I went there to buy a single fragrance for my wife, Sandra. I walked out with 3, one of them being for me. Now, this is one that we had no intentions of buying, but the moment we experienced it, instantly fell in love. This is And Your Lips. This has become Sandra. The moment I smell this, it's like I literally have her standing or her presence next to me. It has embodied my wife. It's become her. To best define this fragrance, it's like a beautiful lined street. You're in an urban city, in this case Paris. Sun is filtering through the leaves. There is a gentle hum of the city in the background. There is a sense of romance and optimism in the air. There is a slight breeze. It's spring or a very mild summer. Whenever I smell this, like right now, or when Sandra's wearing it, I am whisked away to this location. I love the way that this fragrance moves and evolves. It starts off with this beautiful, candied, fruit-like quality to it, berry-like, but there's a vanilla sweetness to it. And then it moves into these beautiful florals, both jasmine and rose. And then it has a very gentle, musky component to it. Similar to a haiku, Fleur d'Aiku love to do a 3-line focus. Candied juju, I'll tell you what that is, rose, and a white musk. Now, candied juju is an Asian treat. It has a date-like quality to it. In this case here, it has a sweetness. It's an accord that they've created, but you get the idea of this beautiful date-like, berry-like fruit component, sweetness, the sugary, the vanilla, that stays throughout the fragrance. It creates a beautiful, sensual romance to it, a softness to it. And actually, as I mentioned earlier, it does bring you into a spring-like location or a light summery place. So I smell this, it takes me directly to Paris landscape. I can see the Seine, I can see the Eiffel Tower. I'm on a bike, I'm riding alongside my wife. It's a magical, magical fragrance. However, you don't have to have gone to Paris to enjoy this fragrance. Others who have experienced it, my 2 editors, young ladies, they also felt that it was summery. They could see themselves in a picnic location. So it has the ability to take you somewhere. It has the ability to transport you to a different place. The sillage and projection is massive. Whenever Sandra is wearing it, sometimes she has left the house. I walk in and I can smell it in the air. Or we've gone walking and she's ahead of me, and the sillage that this produces is phenomenal. I mentioned to Sandra that I'm doing this review, and I wanted to find out how did she feel that the fragrance performs, and also why does she love to wear it. Her comment was, this is the fragrance that she chooses when she wants to be noticed. She also felt that the sillage and projection on this fragrance is high to moderate, and felt that the lasting power was over 10 hours. It stayed on her skin. It was with her all day long. Now, every fragrance has a haiku. In this case here, on stage, the full moon and your lips. On first glance, you think very simple sort of poem, but when you start to break it down, the juxtaposition between on stage, the fact that you can see the full moon gives you the impression that it's an outdoor stage. But the viewer, in my case, me and my wife, it's and your lips. I can detect her lips. That's how intimate, that's how personal the whole experience is. Even though it's a vast stage, I'm detecting these lips and the fact that I'm also familiar with those lips. This is the fragrance. The moment I smell it, it instantly brings Sandra closer to me. Between Two Trees. This is one that I was not meant to buy, but how do you stop someone like me? It's like that song from Sound of Music. Something about Maria. It's definitely something about Marcella when it comes to niche perfumery. I know that all fragrances are unisex. However, I do feel that there is a masculine lean towards this fragrance. Similar to the Haiku 3 lines, the 3 notes that are identified are grapefruit, mate, yerba mate, and vetiver. I was drawn to this fragrance because I love all things that have a yerba mate note. Argentinian born, I love drinking mate. So I'm always intrigued on how perfumers use that yerba mate note. Between Two Trees has this beautiful evolution, a gin-like quality on opening, a little bit of that grapefruit zestiness, the yerba mate leaning into that green herbal component, and then the vetiver gives it this beautiful woody earthiness, this beautiful masculine touch to it. As I mentioned, unisex, yes, but I feel that it does have a masculine edge to it. For me, this is my statement maker. Whenever I'm going to a formal meeting or if I'm going to a function, a dinner, anything where I feel like I want to create a little bit of presence, a little bit of that masculine energy, Between Two Trees is my go-to. Recently I was at a function, my son arrived late. He came, sat next to me, I put my hand out. It's a normal thing for us. Smell my fragrance, basically. As he smelled it, he whispered to me and he said, "Oh, it's you." The moment I walked in, I could smell this perfume and I realized that it's the one that you're wearing. Now, the door would have been about 5 meters away from where I was, yet this fragrance has the ability to push out. This is now probably about 3 or 4 hours deep into the dry down, and yet the presence that this fragrance has is phenomenal. I get at least 8 to 9 hours comfortably, and I feel that the projection and its sillage is in the moderate to high. It has wonderful, it's a very confident fragrance as it moves around me. This perfume also has a haiku. The owl is watching, twilight, between two trees. For me, there are 2 parts to this. One, twilight. Twilight is neither here nor there. You're in the middle. It's neither dark nor light. And between 2 trees also there is, well, between this tree and this tree. Now the owl, in most cultures, is about wisdom. But in Japanese culture, the owl represents luck. So for me, this fragrance is, will I get lucky tonight? I'm in this moment of in between. I'm at this function, I'm at this event, I'm on this date. Will something happen today? That's my interpretation anyway. I do love all things Flor Haiku. I had to resist from buying more. Once inside that boutique, I was enamored with everything that I saw around me. Sergio, the boutique owner, was incredible. He had this very soft way of speaking, the way that he would express about the fragrances. Honestly, I had to stop. There were more that I had on the counter there that I wanted to buy. Good news is this, I'm going back. This time around with my touring company, Flor Haiku is part of the tour. So I will be sharing more on all things Flor Haiku in upcoming episodes. I look forward to hearing your comments on all things Flor Haiku and the sublime fragrances that they have in their collection. Thanks everyone. We'll see you all on the next episode.